Okay, so the front oscillator, Colonial tab foot. This stator ended up being a huge debacle. All good now. Got a couple more splices to make. I need to basically make a pigtail off of this one going to the switch. This one goes to the switch. I'll probably, I wanted to leave these permanent, so these are on here, and I'll leave some excess on there, and then I'm gonna probably use some green cloth wire to go to the switch as was original. But yeah, this just turned into quite a crap show. I had originally just tried to salvage it. I put new head wires on it, pushed shrink tube up into the old. I'll cut in some pictures here. All seemed okay. I did the same thing for the wire going to the switch, same thing for the other wire going to the switch. Then I noticed that this top wire that was going to the switch was just hanging on by a thread. Okay, so one of the start wires went kaput. So I got my head wire soldered on, and now I think I'm gonna have to dig in here. Son of a bitch. Now, what I thought when that piece was dangling by a thread right here, going down into the stator, down into the windings, I thought that what I was seeing was like one strand of copper, from a multi-strand piece of copper, like this. I thought maybe the multi-strand copper went down a little further and that it was completely broken and one strand was all that it was hanging by. That's what I thought. So, after kind of monkeying with it a little bit, it broke. And then turns out that was actually the tiny start winding. Okay, so the regular run windings are these micro cloth wrapped. I don't even know how they did that, or whatever they're wrapped in, but I think it's some kind of tiny cloth wrapping. And then the windings are even smaller. And so what I ended up doing was digging away to get to it, and I didn't really realize this until a little bit into the process, but I started peeling away all these layers of wrappings they had here, and fiber tape and varnish and whatever. And in the course of doing that, I broke off this little bitty piece of wire like this that was, strapped right here, and had a little tiny fine wire coming out of it, which is broken off now. But it broke off somewhere in here. Okay, down inside the stator, the windings, all that was sticking out was this little nub about, 1.5 millimeters. And after, chatting quite a bit with somebody from the AFCA, the, guy that rewound my stator for my Imperial Swan, very knowledgeable, very capable with all this stuff. Anyway, turns out, after talking with him, that wire, I thought that this wire for the head wire was, just was off by itself, just went to the head wire. But then as I looked at it, I saw a little tiny fleck of that fine wire. I didn't know where this other end connected, but now that I see this wire, I assumed only went to the head wire, but now I noticed the little fine piece of wire here. So obviously this came up and over and wrapped into here and went to the head wire. But I don't know if this is it or not, but so it turns out this piece that broke off connected to this head wire, just like the other wire that goes to the head wire went to the other side of the switch. So, I know nothing about how a centrifugal switch works, but after talking to him and learning, so basically both sides of your switch, I don't want to say it that way, but long story short, one of these wires goes to the head wire and the switch. You know, the switch wire is piggybacked off of this one. And then the other head wire goes to, the other head wire also goes to the switch. Or no, it does not go to the switch, but it is the back end of the start winding. So the start winding, one end is here and goes to the switch. The other end comes out here and attaches to this wire. Okay, so that's where I'm at. I ended up being able to solder the first screw up, the first broken wire that was down inside here. Got it. I was gonna solder one little fine piece of copper strand onto it, but I just could not get solder to stick to it. So I opted to take one of these, one of my alligator clips, cheap thin ones. Probably, I don't like that I did that because this insulation is junk. But anyway, I stripped off a little bit off the end of that and basically pushed that little nub inside it. And then I fluxed it and soldered it, and it's a good joint. And then I, put some liquid tape on there, which I'm usually real frugal with, but that's the only way to do it in this situation, I guess, at least to my knowledge. So then I ended up doing the same thing over here, the top wire, which, was seemingly okay, but as I started, I had to do a lot of testing between it and this and figuring out what was what, and ended up breaking off, almost down into here. So almost the same scenario. And that one, I don't think I could have, I don't know. But long story short, I had about a centimeter or so of wire sticking out. Got it, just got it on there, and it's good, and everything's beautiful. Then I varnished it with EL 600. I don't know if you can put too much of that on there. I kind of hogged it on pretty good, but set up a little hair dryer heater. I really hate to assemble this thing before I paint it because, at this point it's completely apart. I need to go the extra mile and paint it. It's Japan, but I just, you can tell it's Japan for sure, but the base isn't horrible, but this has seen better days. I mean, I'm going to try to clean it up a bit, but, I don't know. The cage I'm getting from Antique Fan Parts, I'm going to have to add a head wire to it. So I don't know if I'm going to polish it up. I mean, I probably will. So, I mean, this should get the full treatment, I guess. Kind of a unique badge there from wherever it was purchased, I guess. And this is interesting. This grommet looks just like an Emerson, but it's brown. And that's interesting because that would have coordinated with that brown, the head wire. After I washed it, it turns out it's sort of this black and orange, which, from a short distance away is going to mix in your eye and kind of look brown. But really fine Charlie Brown pattern or chevron pattern. So I don't know if it's going to be able to be duplicated or not, but I don't even know since I've never run this fan. The whole point of taking this apart was so that I could test the stator just to see if it worked, so that I could pull the trigger on buying the cage and the gear and the oscillating arm and the badge. Really didn't plan on spending that kind of money, but was actually a pretty good price for that stuff. So, it'd be nice to get it together. My son's been wanting me to get this one going for a while, and I was just content to let it sit on the shelf of misfit fans from the Epic haul. There's my there's the snowflake back there. That needs a front cage, part of the cage, and a switch. Anyway, got to do some cleanup here. Sorry, it's kind of a mess. Anyway, so yeah, so now I'm sort of in this dilemma of, I'm really not prepared to paint this thing right now, just because of the weather and but I want to get it back together to see if it works. But oh, what I was getting at is I don't even know if the bearings are good in it. I assume they are. I mean, there didn't seem like there was a lot of play. I don't know, but I hate to put it back together and then have to try to get this stator out of this thing again, because man, I really had to pound on this thing with the PVC trick to get that out. And it's kind of fragile with these little spokes here, so I hate to have to do that again if I opted to paint it at some point. But I may just clean it up real good and put it together and just let it be kind of a rat rod, so to speak. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Oh, R&M bearing cap on this, which is strange. I mean, it's a perfect fit. I guess that's just this was part of the epic haul last winter in Ohio, and it's pretty obvious to me that all those fans were basically parts fans, because everything was missing a little something. Both of the Janda C frames were missing their cage. One was missing a switch. The Snowflake is missing a switch, and all the S wires and the badge and all that. Peacock's missing some gears. The Morelli's missing a gear or a cage, and who knows what else. The lever oscillator was missing the dog bone arm and a couple other things back there. I think that is it from the haul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this one was not part of the haul. So, yeah. Anyway, so there's another little bit of the wire. Let's bring that over in the light here. I got a much better piece upstairs that I ended up, I had about like 1.5 inch or 2 inch piece on the switch. So yeah, that actually would have looked quite nice with that brown grommet. So anywho, this is what I was going to start working on. This is the 21666 that I rebuilt the cage for. Worked on the struts. I actually worked on the nuts here too, man. These nuts came out great. I could have done a little bit more. I basically filed all the grooves and notches off the flat parts. I mean, there's still a little bit, and then I polished them. But yeah, these struts came out great. I mean, wow, they were pretty bad looking. And I basically did the toilet bowl cleaner and steel wool trick, and I am way impressed. So all right, that is all for now. So over and out.